Sometimes alone in the evening, I look outside my window at the shadows in the night.
We still have not mastered that to understand how important we are in a society, in a country, in the world. We are so important.
Viva Gauteng, viva! Viva! Viva Free State, viva! Viva! Viva Limpopo, viva! Viva! Viva Western Cape, viva! Viva! Viva Eastern Cape, viva! Viva! Which one did I forget? Viva Northwest, viva! Viva! Viva Northern Cape, viva! Viva! Yeah, I like that. Viva Lena Movement, viva! Viva!
Is a dream that we can follow. Now when the night begins to fall, I listen for your call. I listen for your heartbeat. Alone, my dream is just a dream, another false illusion, a shadow in the night. All I want
Because it was clear that the homelands were very soon going to be history. East South Africa was going to be one South Africa as it used to be.
That is when we signed with Umar. And Umar, November, they were waiting for them. That's the history.
This is history.
That's history
This
of
is
the
history.
The past president of DENOSA, they must be given an opportunity to say something about me.
Yeah.
Because we've all suffered.
Yeah.
We've all
It
suffered.
was, these are the things that make you, you feel that I've done something for this country,
Yeah.
for the nurses of this country.
Because seeing DENOSA is the last thing that I'll ever want to see die.
Temeka, no Marie, no Prof, no, all that. So, really, our leaders had to welcome now Nelson Mandela coming in on the stage. No, it was such, hey, you just the feeling. The feeling.
I was also very scared. It's part of the fact that yes, and I had to go and they've got to be in the small room, receive something, a refreshment and so on. Now I had to try and learn how to sit like this. I can't sit. No, I can't. No, I can't. And then You see, if a trade union is general, so if you were politically, yes, you would just join, but knowing very well that they will never negotiate for you, they'll never come and canvass. You see that it was again to keep yourself glued up with politics. You see, the group within health that was organized were doctors. Doctors, the head was what was South Africa, it was MASA, which was equivalent to SANA in nurses. So there was this MASA, but doctors formed an alternative structure of progressive doctors, which was called NAMDA. Because doctors can never operate without nurses, then they started influencing nurses just to come over. So we started working with doctors of NAMDA without actually being members, because it was exclusive for doctors. Then NAMDA doctors now here around Durban called us and say, hey man, there's somebody who will be coming, wants to interview nurses. About what would be the best organization for them, progressive organization for them. Ne? We said, oh, okay. Then there was a lady from the United States who came to interview us. What are you doing? Hey, so we spoke about how isolated we are now, that doesn't want to register us because we're nurses, and how it is a union for workers now are left behind. Okay. Then the report came to say, hey, we have spoken to nurses. It looks like the best organization for nurses will be an organization that will take a trade union form, because in majority of their problems are work related, and it is a trade union that deals with labor issues. Because if you were to look at other professions, you look at medicine, which is closer to us. We never had Transkei Medical Association, Ciskei Medical Association, KwaZulu Nursing Medical. You see that kind of a thing. And therefore, you must ask yourself, why nurses? And I understood that I used to suspect it.
I still remember in my hospital one time that the black nurses were not going to get a bonus, but the other race groups were going to get the bonus. And that time, we actually, the other nurses organized something, and they said all of us must go to the superintendent's office. And that was the time that we managed to get the bonus.
When I was doing some work in DRC, I actually said, oh, now I got an answer. Nurses had to follow the policies of the time because of their numbers. Not only numbers, because of the role they play in the healthcare system. They 24 hours round the clock that I work with patients. So they've got to be controlled, politically and otherwise. You see?
Something like that. Now, those who were running independent SANAs and and SAMC, they were trying to establish there. During that time when really a change is visible, there was a lot of tension, because those in the homelands, in the what you call independent state, not independent state, the Boa, Kasankulu, KwaZulu-Natal, and so on, they resisted becoming independent. Now in Kasankulu they rejected it, but in Venda they attempted to accept it. So that caused a lot of tension as well. And coincidentally, the emergence of CONSA then rubber stamped our attitude against them. You know, that kind of. You must also include KwaZulu-Natal because it was leading us that if KwaZulu-Natal refuse, who are we to accept it? Every day.
So, yeah. So there were those homeland organizations. There were 9 in home, and then all those organizations attended this meeting. And then it is from that meeting that we felt with Tendega, let us then facilitate this meeting with all the other homelands and so on. And then DENOSA came from there.
Because what they found out that nurses were complaining more about conditions of service, and therefore, if we were to form a new organization, it had to deal with labor issues because the associations they were not negotiating for us. They would depend on the government at that particular time. How much do they have to increase the salaries? No negotiations, whatever. I would say we managed to go through the processes that were actually taking place. Nurses planning for the future. I want to highlight something here. As a person that was actually going up and down, we didn't have money. Bear in mind that the meetings after the conference, then we came together. We had the nurses planning for the future and all that, and the meeting used to be in Joburg. We didn't have the money. Got finished, and I still remember one time I managed to come to the meeting to Hillbrook, but I didn't have money to go back. And I spoke to, because they had money on. They had money, and you know what? Who paid for me to go back home because I was going to stay at the station? Who paid? It was the nursing organization that paid.
But I was one of those that were charged off from Starlight with the hope that we will form the Homeland Nursing Organization. But being stubborn as I am, we refused to form a Homeland Organization.
Everybody, you see. And when we were looking at all the people, then we right now is to caucus. We then all agreed that is Monday. Is the one that is going to lead.
That is the fact.
That is a fact. We caucus to system, and we all agreed discussion. There's nobody else. The Monday has to lead. And we were saying. Now came February 1990, the unbanning of the liberation movements. Within no time, there were quite a number of nursing formations that were formed in the country, and they intended to be called Trade Union, Democratic Trade Union of South Africa, all over. Then we realized the profession is responding different from the rest of the country. We were even splitting further. Something needs to be done. That's how CONSA was formed. So we started phoning each other because we knew each other. Guys, have you noticed that Manes were going against the tide? We must come together. And then we formed ourselves, Concerned Nurses of South Africa. Those were nurses that were scattered all over the country. Some were in the homelands, like Mafalo was in the Boa. So we formed this organization. We then said, guys, we need to we can't operate without funds. Then Usis Nongara advised us to write to Kilo Foundation because they were giving funds.
Now we infiltrated, we get information about CONSA. Now we were now driving to become members of CONSA as much as possible. So we went to Venda, we went to Leboa, we went to Kasankulu, then we got some few members. After active work out of our own pockets, you must understand. and influencing people to understand why Konsa. And every time when we talk around the tea is Konsa. Then we invited people.
And we invited all nursing formations to come and talk about what kind of an organization should we have in the New South Africa. But then we said, let us invite COSATU. And we said, let us give COSATU a topic, how to organize nurses in the future. Because Unehau was an affiliate of COSATU. And we were already disgruntled with the manner in which nurses were treated in Nehau. And they had allowed teachers to organize themselves as teachers. But when we asked the same thing, they refused us. Guess who was sent by COSATU? Zwelin Zimavara, who was then a deputy GS. Vavi gave us 3 options. He said, 1, you must move into Nehau in numbers so that your views can be heard. 2, move into Sana and transform Sana from within. 3rd option, form your own trade union. That you could have seen us. Yeah! But still in a conference, we're still going to meet and do post-mortem. So out of these 3 options, which one? But then after the conference, we were funded by Kulo, we got to IT report and send whatever. But again, Konsa came back. Hey guys, we've been given 3 options by COSATU. Which one? We must form our own trade union. So we opted for our own trade. Yes. So I am. Issue of the name, it was also another big issue. It was a big issue in Pretoria when we had about 10 names that were on the list to name the organization. Yeah, there were quite a lot of names, about 10, and we had to choose one. That we had already adopted with DENOSA. Now that you did not get a mandate to dissolve, now you want to change the name. No, it doesn't work like that. DENOSA is not our name only, it is our name, all of us.
President, you remember, in 2006, it was a national congress, and then during that, was it just before the congress, we had the celebration and the anniversary. I remember President Beki was there, I think there was a serious entourage from government, and it was as a young person, young professional, it was a wow event.
The experience that I had as a president today, when we celebrated 10th anniversary, briefed, as a president, briefed, and we went into a briefing room. I say briefed, but when we get into the briefing room, Tembeka pulled us in front. Protocol-wise, she offered the chair to the president and introduced me. And just turned around the corner and went through the door. And she Now you have a choice. And they say 10 minutes. How do you, quick in the head, identify issues that you need to tell the president? Given that he has the speech, but now he's a president, you have to highlight the issues that are very critical. That is a very great challenge.
Yeah, yeah.
And we never said and say, if the president must end this. But I appreciated that because Tenberger had trust in me that I'm independent learner. So I would sometimes my speeches were off the cuff, and I would just see the DENOSA going to there, pick them up, and I address the nurses automatically. So now faced with the caliber of Mbeki, left in the briefing room, everybody gone out, and you given 10 minutes. Very soon they come and say, President, we are ready to go.
Yeah.
And I have not said anything, so I had to think quick. Now you identify issues that are pertinent and the most critical for the nurses. Pick them up and then, and if you elaborate and think that Mbeki doesn't understand, you are mistaken. An intelligent person, if you want weight, then picks up and analyzes call. So you don't have to struggle, you just pick up and say, I'm leading this group and this is what I think every time we are howling, we want it. Then you throw it. The question of the power that the department, the state must give it to the nurses. That was core factor once used to be. Now, here we have a president who must definitely pronounce and say this is. I didn't anticipate that he would pick it up, but I just said it. Then the chief nursing officer. But he surprised me when he picked up the, read the speech and then stopped and applied his mind and said, now today I'm giving you that power. Oh, that was a wonderful. That was a wonderful moment.
All I hear are the voices telling me to go, but I could never run, because in my African dream,
The issue of nurses standing for themselves, it makes me happy. Having worked in clinical environment where nurses had no say, at least now today a nurse is able to stand up and represent another nurse. It makes me happy.
I would equally remain smiling all my way to my graveyard if I leave DENOSA in the same context, although open for modification, because nursing is dynamic, labor industry is dynamic, it's ever changing. So adapting the model to the current and the future dynamics or changes, for me it is fine. I feel jealous, very jealous, and I've been part of the membership of DENOSA who jealously guarded against the view and the impression that DENOSA must take the course of learners alone. Because the day anybody decides to shift from this professional is the day now the razor cuts across the existing nurses in the country. Remember, 75% of the nurses in the country are consistently believing they are professionals, and they protect the profession against other professions. Medical is one of them. So for a mere fact that it existed as a professional entity, those who joined the profession wanted to grow. They didn't want to go down. So anyone who comes and say your profession is low, is likely to face a challenge if they're not wholesome, critical. So if you move out with that subtle understanding that you want to unionize pure, you are dangerously putting it in the donga.
That's when I got recognition from the rector at the University no.
UNISA.
At UNISA. I was recognized too there. This is the board. Can you see yourself? And where is Fago's here? The short ones. Why? Why?
That was the
The interim. But I thought they were in.
No, the interim was here at Natal.
Yeah, he was here at Natal.
I was here in
You were a
Natal.
student.
Yes,
So when they go to the election, then I was
Then,
invited
yes,
to come.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
This is history. If we write the book, this will come in. This will come in. This is the late Minister of Health. You remember her? Manto. Sometimes I don't smile, especially when I see how the nurses are performing. It's the case. Okay? That does upset me. However, I do smile when I realize that the nursing profession is where it is now. Because we are indeed what we wish to be a professional nursing organization and a union. That was our wish. With the union part taking care of the needs of nurses at whatever level and taking part of the professional side of our profession.
Now, that DENOSA still exists for me, it makes me to smile. Because I know that any organization, it gets affected by the politics of the day. I wasn't sure whether the politics are now going to say, let's not have a nurses union standing there alone, let us go back, whatever. Ne? And also at the same time, there was also a suggestion that we must probably have a public sector union and collapse all the unions that are in the public sector. I would then, because of my experience and the fact that I've well traveled, I would say, okay, I hear that, but at the same time, because we are now talking about a union, not the professional side of it, and I would go to a country where there is a public sector union. It's UK, which is very strong, we unison. But we do have the Royal College of Nursing. And I would sit there and streak and say, oh my God, I hope the young lions. I'm not saying they must not go that route, but when they decide to make that change, it must be informed or whatever. So for me, I would still smile because I can't remember any country that does not have a pure nurses organization. Which for me, if that pressure would come, would then say, no, the thing that would move would be the trade union. But what about the professional side of it? They'll say, at least now, today, a nurse is able to stand up and represent another nurse. It makes me happy because I know how nurses have been exploited. They could not even stand or they could not even talk, but today we know very well. Having shop stewards, freedom of speech. Nurses are not that scared like us, where you would actually not even able to face a CEO that is talking badly about nurses. Nurses will challenge, at least they're able now to defend themselves. That is what is making me happy. And I hope that DENOSA is going to keep on training the nurses because it's all about training and the issue of professionalism or the profession itself. Where do we, when they complete training, because in training, I was talking to Kai Mafaro, in training, they are not taught more of labor issues. They are taught about the profession. But when they come out, you'll find that they are forcefully getting to labor issues. So what is it that we are actually lacking, not for them to take up the profession, so that we're able, when they are in DENOSA, balance this professionalism and labor. So I should think that those are things that, that we can take up. But at this present moment, I would say, yes, DENOSA, we are still happy, but there are challenges that are actually, that need to be dealt with in the organization.
You must, in an organization, have people that are really going to operate at a strategic level, not deal with day-to-day issues. How you deal with the emergence of a new organization is to sit down and ask yourself, why is this organization emerging? And you deal, if you are also doing what they are going to do, strengthen that, because you have an advantage over them. What are those that advantage? You are already fully established. You have got infrastructure. There's nothing difficult like organizing without the infrastructure and personnel. And of course, money.
Chief negotiator.
Chief negotiator, right? So
Chief negotiator, I like
Yes.
it.
both private and
Public.
public. Yeah.
Negotiating.
Because when you debate there in the public service administration with other workers, nurses can be disadvantaged if you don't have a nurse. You will then understand that nursing in South Africa is different categories. Even when you come to the registered nurses, people are specialized. So you need a nurse to understand this, to negotiate. So that is why now we're able to negotiate for occupational specific dispensation. That was actually recognized in that. If you was not a nurse, you would have missed that. And black nurses were not trained in the university, were in the colleges. And we still used to do work in the ward. So people used to ask, nurses work, student nurses, workers or students? So it was never really answered. But for me, more than that celebrating, it is important for young nurses and those that are still to be born to know where DENOSA comes from, because it is my belief, I don't know about ours, that DENOSA will still be relevant in the next 100 years to come, as long as they are nurses. Nurses will still need to be organized, because if they are not organized, they will, nobody will take them seriously. And